Welcome into the Bleav in Steelers show. I'm your host, Mark Bergin. It's been too many moons since we've seen his face. The one and only Swaggin' You Ike Taylor returns. IT, is good to see your face this morning. Happy Monday,
Mark,
my man.
Happy Monday. Happy Easter too. I know Easter was yesterday, but happy Easter. I talked to you, but I haven't seen you in a while. We ain't doing a podcast in a while. You've been busy for sure with this March Madness. I've been busy with these pro days. So glad to see you on this Monday.
Yeah, UNC, Duke, and now NC State in the Final Four. Duke and UNC bounced earlier in the tournament. Ike, it has been very busy. We have a lot of Steelers news to get to, and we're now into April. It's April Fool's Day, but it's no joke. The NFL draft is this month.
Yeah, ain't nobody playing. This the money. This the money if you in the front office where your boots been on the ground since December, gathering all the information. So now it's just time to set the draft board and get guys who you think are special or who going to contribute to your team ASAP.
All right, Ike, before we get too far ahead with today's show, let's pay the bills. Today's presenting sponsors of the Bleav in Steelers show. We're going to start with BetOnline.ag. They've been with us since day one. The Final Four is here. So if you want to place a bet on any of the basketball action, any of the NFL draft action later this month, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it.
Hey, 365, 24/7, regardless on what sport it is. Make sure y'all go to BetOnline.ag.
Use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to get started at BetOnline.ag. And Ike, also Cut.com, a peer-to-peer social betting app. And with our promo code too, Ike, users can get a 10% deposit bonus as well with Cut.com.
Yeah, cut the foolishness out. Just make sure y'all go to Cut.com.
You can see our promo code on your screen right now if you're watching Bleav in Steelers. The promo code is Bleav Steelers, all one word, BLEAV Steelers, to get started at Cut.com. Ike, Steelers-related news. The team's going to have a pre-draft visit with Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr., and if he's there in the later rounds of the draft, I get the injury concerns, I get the age concerns, but if he were coming into, say, Pittsburgh, where he would be the number 3 behind Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, he'd be able to learn. And I look at it from the standpoint of, okay, with Fields and with Russell Wilson at this point in time, they're only under contract through the 2024 season. You have between now and May 2nd, if you're going to pick up that 5th-year option on Fields. I don't think that the Steelers are going to do that, but this would be a good landing spot for him in that he wouldn't need to play right away and he could learn the rigors of the NFL under 2 guys that have a lot of experience.
So what you get in Penix, you getting a guy who played in college for a long time. You're getting a guy who's been through adversity, transferring from school to school. You're getting a guy in which his career haven't been the career he probably would like, but at the same time, just fast forward and looking back now on what kind of career he has, especially with the injuries, is everything you want when it comes down to being a quarterback. And what I mean by that, Mark, is you want a guy who's built from adversity. You know, ACL. You want a guy who's going to come in and be a blue-collar worker. That's Michael Penix. You want a guy who the team rallies around. That's Michael Penix. You want a guy who's going to come in first and leave out late, especially at that quarterback position. That's Michael Penix. You want a guy, you know, when the kitchen is hot, you know, he can't wait. He's running to the fire, not away from the fire. And that's what you want in a quarterback. Now, when you get a guy like Penix, you also getting a coach on the field. You know, that's what all the coaches say when they talk about Penix is, you know, we really don't have to do too much because Penix is holding court and he's getting everybody lined up. He's just like a coach on the field. So that's something special to have as well when you get in the quarterback, especially in the NFL, but not only as in the NFL being a veteran guy, but as a rookie. So when I think of Michael Penix, I just think of, man, this man overcame a lot of adversity, you know, and at the same time, there was a couple of minutes away from winning the national championship. And what I mean by that is, you know, 60 minutes away from being won. But at the same time, every time somebody talk about Penix, whether it's one of his teammates or whether it's one of the coaches or the strength coaches, they just say, man, he's a guy you want in the building. So, and that's exactly what you want when it comes to that CEO position, which is that quarterback position. You want a guy like that in the building.
Let me piggyback off that, Ike. You mentioned the national title game, playing through that rib injury. The toughness, what that does for your teammates and how you rally around a guy like that.
Right.
We can talk about the combine in a second because he was one of the quarterbacks that actually participated in the drills. But in terms of the on-field play, when he didn't have it that day, how he bounced back, but how your team responds to that, as a leader at the quarterback position. To me, Ike, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, the protection. What I mean by protection, when your quarterback like a guy like Penix and he's well liked in the locker room, and he's playing now with broken ribs. Not only your attention to detail kind of in heightened from an offense and a defensive standpoint, because you know he's one of the leaders and he sacrificed and he could have been just called it off and just sat down, but he understood the magnitude of that game and how important that national championship game is. So when you got a guy like that and that just trickles down, the whispers start to go down on that sideline, like, man, he playing with a broken rib. And then the next person, like, what you said? Man, he playing with a broken rib. So that's just like, that heightens that sideline to be like, F it. If our head guy can make any excuse he want to make and sit this game out, but for him to not only go out there, not only not being 100%, because by the end of the season, your body's like 80%. That's good for a football season. Hell, he played quarterback and he got a broken rib. So you can only imagine him wheezing, him trying to throw the ball, how much pain he's in at the time. So you know what? From a defense standpoint, man, let's go ahead and get these 3 and outs every time so we can get Penix the ball back. You know, from an offensive standpoint, offensive line standpoint, okay, we've been protecting pretty well. Let's protect even better. Let's make sure he have a clean pocket whenever he want to drop back. Let's make sure the offensive coordinator, if he wants to run the ball, we can run the ball. We can have a 6-minute offense so Penix ain't got to throw the ball like that. From a receiver standpoint, you know what? My quarterback, he's not going to be able to throw the ball to me like how he used to because his ribs is broke. Hey, coach, go ahead and call these running plays. We're going to block on the perimeter and make sure these corners don't make these tackles. So when you got a guy like that in Penix, who's a locker room guy, things just, you know, heighten. We all got goals, but one of them goals when you got a guy like Penix, man, everything is magnitude. You don't want to not only let yourself down, but a guy like that down, especially if you know he's hurt.
I thought he looked very fluid at the combine. I wouldn't say that about all the other quarterbacks that participated, but I thought he looked like he belonged, at least from the quarterbacks that participated in the on-field drills. The top 3, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, in whatever order you want to put them, did not. But when he was there with the other guys that were actually participating, to me, it looked like he belonged with what is an absolutely loaded quarterback class in the 2024 draft.
I mean, he showed out for the combine. You know, you could tell like guys just be waiting on that moment, and you could tell he's just Michael Penix. We talking about is one of them guys who just be waiting on the moment. Like I done been through so much. I done put so much time in. I can't wait for these kind of moments. These are the moments, you know, I dreamed about. These are the moments when I'm working out, I'm thinking about. These are the I can't wait till it gets to this position kind of moment. So Michael Penix had himself a hell of a combine.
And I think the need for quarterbacks, maybe in the second round, but beyond the second round, if you're the Steelers, if he slides to say 3rd round, 4th round, that's when I would consider him, just because you have what you need with Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Ike. So can't wait to see. And we're going to get our position group breakdowns by the end of the month here on the Bleav in Steelers show. So exciting stuff with Michael Penix. Let's keep this rolling, though. And Ike, you've been at pro days all across the country. You've been to Miami, Michigan, Alabama, LSU. Where do you want to start? Because I have questions about each of them, but I want to turn it over to you, Ike, because following your adventures on social media, it's like, oh, Ike's in a different college city today.
Nah, you just ask me the question.
All right,
and
all right.
I'll start off with this.
Let's start here with Alabama. You're doing the on-field drills, Terrion, Arnold, Kool-Aid, McKinstry. And it's like, oh, there's our guy Ike rocking the 4-1-2 gear, rocking the Steelers gear. What was it like for you to be down on the field to see the incoming talent, 2 talented cornerbacks, 2 cornerbacks that could go first round, to get to see that firsthand? And then given your 12 years in the NFL as a player, what did you see from those 2 when you were doing the on-field workouts, leading them for Alabama's pro day?
Well, the night before was my best moment. So we wound up doing dinner. Like we was doing dinner with him, Dallas, with Terrion, Dallas, and Kool-Aid, and a couple more other teammates. So we was doing dinner with Coach T, and Coach T was just holding court. But Terrion, you talking about a guy who needs a microphone? in front of his face and the TV and the camera in front of his face 24/7. That's him all day, every day. And that's just natural. He ain't even trying. That's just him. So Kool-Aid is very laid back, more of the uncle kind of personality. Terrion is the uncle you always want to be around because he got a story for days. But I mean, between them two, the night before that dinner part, that was that was that was the most fun I've had in a long time. Just listening to them three between him, Coach T, and Kool-Aid, just chop it up. As far as like on the field, that's me. That's what I do, Mark. Last year, I got on the field when it came down to DB drills. I feel like I know exactly what kind of drills we need to do for scouts and GMs and head coaches to look at, whether they want to see his feet and backpedaling, whether they want to see him break in the 45 or a 90, if they want to see him speed turn from a deep post, and if they want to see him open up in bail coverage when we do the phone cone drills. If they want to see what his feet like coming out transition on the pivot, I got my 3 cone drills. So whatever you're thinking about as a scout, a GM, or a head coach, Ike T gonna do the drill for the corners and the safeties. I got everything you're looking for because like we've been talking about. Michael Penix been waiting on this all his life. I've been waiting all my life for this moment right here. So whatever drill, I couldn't wait to do the cornerback and safety drills with these dudes because I think I know exactly what I'm doing. I think I'm doing the drills to get the GMs, the scouts, and the head coaches, getting them getting a piece of pad out and a pen out to write down, what they like, what they dislike. I think I'm painting a picture for them when they see my drills and they see these guys in action. So, Mark, when they said, they ain't even got to say it. So it's one head scout that runs down there all the major drills, and he know when he see Ike, hey, Ike got the DBs, y'all leave him alone. And that's exactly how I want it.
Amazing. Ike, you mentioned Terrion Arnold, and we were both at the Combine. His on-field interview after his performance at the Combine, must watch. So you mentioned, hey, he needs a camera, he needs a microphone. How can you not root for someone like that after watching that? So you say that, and it resonates with me. It's like, wait a second, at the Combine, that was exactly the case. So when you say that, when you've had dinner, when the cameras aren't on, when the microphones aren't on, and he's still the same way, that resonates with me.
In a perfect world, football world, you draft Kool-Aid and Terrion. Because them two are like brothers. Them two dudes is like, they joint to the hip. They feed off each other. They motivate each other. It's a constructive criticism. Ain't no feelings involved. They're going to be honest with each other. So when I came from that dinner, I say, dang, in the perfect world, them two on the same team, that'd be crazy because they're gonna push themselves and others. And they're gonna hold each other accountable.
I have a question about the differences between the two on the field, but I want to let our listeners and viewers know this as well. Again, this resonates with me because if you're not familiar with Ike's background, and Ike, I'm going to toot your own horn here because you're a proud guy, you're humble. When you say this, it resonates with me, and here's why. You had to have a lot of the same parallels when you were coming out of college, Louisiana Lafayette, with Peanut Tillman. You have experience in this realm.
No, 100%. But between T and Kool-Aid, them like their relationship is you got to beat up. Their relationship is a unique relationship, Mark, and it's intriguing and a beautiful thing to watch. It's like, damn, you don't want to split these twins up. And you know we always say family ain't got to be blood related. Between T and Kool-Aid, that really is the case. Like, family ain't got to be blood related. So, two totally different type of personalities. I guess that's why they get along so well. But you talking about bouncing word for word, conversation after conversation, football talk off of each other. That's exactly what they did. It was just like, it was so fluent.
On the field, how do they differ as corners, though? Like that I do want to ask you. In terms of the style of cornerbacks that they are.
So Kool-Aid, when it come down to a technique standpoint, he's right now ready. If you look at Terrion, He might be a little bit slightly more of an athlete than Kool-Aid, but Kool-Aid, when you want to talk about a technician, don't forget T. This is like T first year really starting the whole season. So T kind of still raw in a lot of ways, but he's super athletic. He got a lot of twitchy muscles in there, and we're talking about Terrion. Kool-Aid, when it comes down to being a savvy veteran, he's what you put on a coach's clinic tape when it comes down to bump coverage, not panicking for the ball, catching the ball. T had what they call a slight down year, which was a hell of a year. If you look at it in the cornerback world, and nobody won't throw his way. So what you call down is what I call respect. So instead of y'all throwing it, to Kool-Aid way most of the time because his tape has been hot since last year and the year before. So, but when you look at Kool-Aid, man, Kool-Aid just a pure technician. T is raw, super athletic, real twitchy.
And like you mentioned, a down year, like one play away from going to the national championship game. That's a down year in the college football playoff semifinal. I know that's the whole team as a whole, but I look at it from, you have those two guys on the outside. Good luck passing the ball against the Alabama Crimson Tide this past season. And the SEC as well, which we know is like the closest thing that you can get to the NFL. Keeping it in the SEC.
Correct.
And keeping it with your on-field drills. You're doing a lot of the same things at LSU, your old stomping grounds in New Orleans. And I saw you were directing drills. You were with the defensive back, Andre Sam, down at LSU. Tell us all about your experiences there, and it had to have been nice being back home.
Yeah, so first of all, Mark, that's my first time actually like chilling in Baton Rouge. Like we played in Dove Valley, but I've never like chilled in the city of Baton Rouge. So I got a day before to actually chill. Went to Mike Anderson, little oyster po' boy spot, the restaurant. Went there, ate. Went to the cigar lounge, of course. We found the cigar lounge and chilled. But for the most part, man, that was like my first time actually really chilling. So when I got to LSU, of course the alums were there. Queen was there, the guy we have got from the Ravens. He came to us. He was there, spoke to him in person. RC, of course, was there. That was a no-brainer. Talked to him pretty much the whole time. Talked to a lot of guys who, I haven't seen in a long time, in years, and talked to a lot of former players that talked to a lot of former coaches. It was just like a homecoming for me. Damn no, but Baton Rouge is nice. LSU took care of not only their players, but they took care of everybody who was in that building. So by the end of the day, you know who we came to see. We came to see JT and company. So that's who we came to see. But we had one linebacker, and they had, of course, the safety. So I kind of went to the Saints GMs who was working the linebacker out, and I was like, look, we only got one linebacker, only got one safety, so let's just bounce off each other. Y'all do 2 drills, and then we'll do 2 drills to give these guys a break, so we won't run them in the dirt. So just coordinating things like that, and both of the 2 young men, they thanked Ike for doing that, at least thinking of them, because doing 24 drills back to back to back to back. But I'm looking at it like, man, these scouts just want to see how these guys move, especially when it comes down to feet, ball skills, and hips. That's all they really want to see. So there's no need for us to run them in the dirt. We got enough tape on them anyway. So we just coordinated that like that, Mark. But that was my first time really chilling in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge, something different, something all the way different.
That makes sense to me, because when we were at the combine and the days that the quarterbacks were working out with the receivers, with the first quarterback group, Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman was the only QB to run the 40. And he had to run his second 40 almost immediately after he ran his first one. And it's like, wait a second. Most other guys get, I would say, at least a 5 to 10 minute break between the two to be able to perform that drill to the best of his ability, to showcase his ability to all the scouts on the field. So when you say that in terms of, hey, let's split this up and give them just a quick breather, grab some water between drills, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, but if I'm gonna work a drill, because I played, so when you work in a drill, you want me to go full speed every time, at least give me a break. You feel me? And I ain't got time to be pulling nothing. So that's how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
When I'm doing these guys, like I don't want to pull nothing. I don't want none of these guys getting injured. Now, when we getting through these drills, go out on take care, coach. I ain't gonna put you in the rush, but go out on give me these drills 100%. And for me, with the DBs and the safeties, like I actually show them the drill before they even do it. So I get back there, I backpedal, I break, so they can get a visual instead of me just pointing and telling them what I want. I'm actually doing the drill so they can capture that visual, like I say, painting that picture. So they'll be like, all right, and then okay, perfect. So then after I do that, I say y'all get a walkthrough through the drill. So y'all see me do the drill, all y'all get a walkthrough through the drill, and then when I ask you to come back, I need you to do it full speed.
Yeah, I always liked going second in drills just because you could see how the first guy did it. So that's very kind of you to walk them through it. And then, like, you played 12 years in the league too, so you know how this translates of, okay, we're in a cutoff in shorts right now, how this is going to translate on the field when we actually put the pads on, of what the purpose of this drill is when it comes to actually playing the sport and it not just being the underwear Olympics. And so we talk about all of this. We mentioned the corners from Bama. We mentioned LSU safety Andre Sam. Another safety we'll talk about, Kamren Kinchens down at the U, down at Miami. And
Right.
I know that the Steelers got Dante Jackson in the trade from the Panthers. I know that Deshaun Elliott's another safety that they acquired in free agency. But Kinchens is another player that I know that you saw on a firsthand basis down in Miami, down at the U, Coral Gables, Florida.
Feet. I'm talking about real feet, feathery feet. I can't hear when he's kind of feet. When I heard I didn't hear him. I had to look at his feet, because when I was giving him the drills out the breaks, I'm like, I can't even hear him. Like, this dude light on his feet. So when he was breaking, I was like, oh my gosh, like this little dude. That's the first thing I said in my head, Mark. I'm like, I can't even hear him break. Usually when you hear somebody break, once I say break, you hear that foot come out the ground. I couldn't even hear him. I'm just like, okay, this dude got some real light ass feet. Him coming out his breaks. I say, man, he balanced like hell. This is what I'm saying in my head. And you know when somebody got something, that's the first thing you say, like, oh my gosh. Like when somebody do something you don't really see all the time, what's your first reaction? Like, oh my gosh. Like you see a dude run a 4.2, you like, oh my gosh. That's just a natural reaction. You see somebody coming out the break like Cal, I was like, oh my gosh. Like this dude here got some good feet and hips. Now you talk to the people in the locker room, they say he the one. And what I mean by the one is he's the ultimate teammate. So he's everything we were talking about with Michael Penix. He's the ultimate teammate. First one to come in, last one to come out. All he think about is football. That's all he think about is football. So it's like, I mean, that makes sense. He's the quarterback back there if you're playing safety and then secondary. So he got a line of defensive backs up. He kind of got to bait quarterbacks on being what they think he's supposed to be, and he's been somewhere else. Like, so I get it. So when they talking about Cam, they talking about Cam exactly how they talking about Michael. But it makes perfect sense because he's the quarterback on the defensive side, and of course, Michael's the quarterback on the offensive side. So it was a lot of similarities when they was talking about those two guys and being in that locker room.
Ike, I'm looking out for our listeners right now. Ike is saying quiet feet. If you're listening to this and you're
okay,
like,
yeah.
did you goof up the recording? No. Quiet feet for Kamren Kinchens out of the U, out of Miami. Ike, amazing.
Crazy, Mark.
Can we go to who might be my favorite DB, though? And we're going to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mike Sainristil.
Yeah, I mean, he just
oh man,
everything advertised. No, whatever you think about him, Mark, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And the crazy thing about it is, all them dogs who coming out for the draft, they said he was the alpha. So whatever he said,
he had the interception in the championship game, and it was just like, look, I know he's undersized, but like that dude just makes plays every time you pop on the tape.
No, the team. I get it. Not Jake, not McCarthy, not the running back. Hey, bro, who the alpha? Mike. For the whole team. Where he say go. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, so he all dog. Yeah, he all dog. Yeah, but it just made sense. You know, from you to go from receiver to corner, then he went star corner. Star corner is inside corner. He can play outside as well. Pretty much he can play anywhere in that secondary. But he's probably the best fit from that star corner. So when you go from receiver to inside corner, like you're like an extra linebacker. So you gotta be willing to bang damn near every play. So that's all. We taking that 4-3 linebacker out. Now we're going to a 4-2-5. You the extra linebacker. So you got to be instinctive, aggressive, and able to cover from the inside out, which is hard to do. And you got to be able to anticipate on if they're going in motion or not, where the hell they trying to go with the ball. It's hard to play that star. It's not built for. It's not built for. It wasn't built for me. It ain't built for everybody. Leave my ass on the outside. Let me do what I do. But that star, but that alpha, that him, them good feet, them good hips, ball skills, come up in big moments when you need to play. That's Mike. But I've been liking Mike since last year. I thought Mike was coming out last year. We was talking about Mike. I thought it was coming out, but he came back because he said he wanted to win this national championship, but that's exactly what they did this year. But he's everything is advertised, though, bro.
We talked some off the pod, and you were saying how he's like Honey Badger's cousin, Tyrann Mathieu's cousin. A lot of similarities between the two players. Not saying he's Honey Badger, but
Correct.
that style of player.
Style of player, yeah. Yeah, Terrion the same way. Terrion play inside and outside. You know, Honey Badger, Honey just was different, bro. Honey took over a whole game by himself. You know, Honey Badger was like Charles Woodson cousin in college. So at first it's Charles, because we all know what Charles Woodson did. If you haven't, make sure you go back, Google, YouTube Charles Woodson college days.
He had a catch on the sideline, Ike, back in the day when he was played for Michigan.
Right.
You watch the replay, and you've got to rewatch it like 5 times. Like, how did he catch this ball?
Yo, so Charles was the Honey Badger. Honey Badger, we talking about Terrion from Alabama, and we could talk like Mike from Michigan, like that. Down. Them guys don't come around too often. When they do, you just acknowledge, and you just acknowledge. I don't care where I put them out on the field. They just need to be on the field somewhere.
For the Steelers fans watching this, we know that center is a need. No Jackson Powers Johnson at the center position. There's a lot of a player that a lot of fans have circled at number 20. We'll see if he slides in the draft. I know the kid from West Virginia is at Zach Frazier as well. But look, cornerback, you've got 2 in Joey Porter Jr. and Dante Jackson. You're probably going to need a third just given the talent at the receiver position. A lot more teams are playing nickel and dime packages with how the league is played now. And then I look at the receiver position too, like in terms of, okay, what are your positional needs going into this month's draft as well? I cannot wait. And to get to see you do your thing, like just your tone and how you're lighting up right now, talking about all this, given your experiences physically being at all of these pro days. This insight is absolutely terrific. And it's amazing to see you follow your passion in your post-playing career now as a scout for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, you know what it is, Mark. I mean, us doing the podcast ain't nothing. We just like doing podcasts. It ain't work for us. It's just something we love doing. We love talking football. We love trying to be insightful. We love, the viewers listening and all that good stuff. We can go on for hours with this. That's just something we like doing, Mark. At the same time, man, this scouting thing, I always want to get into it. And it's hard to find people who stick to their word. And Omar Khan, who's our GM right now, man, he told me while I was playing, he was like, if I ever get in a GM position, I'm going to hire you. And the man did. So shout out to Omar Khan, man. Omar been making a lot of noise in the offseason. He has something in mind what he wants to do. He remembers that locker room when we was winning Super Bowls, and he's going about it his way. And I love it, and I'm here for it every bit. So shout out to the Rooney family, Coach T2, Bleav in Steelers podcast. Shout out to my dog Mark too, as well.
We have one more topic, Ike. We got to talk about some of these rule changes before we wrap today's show. There's really 3. There's one that I think makes a lot of sense. The challenge rule. If you get one of them right, you'll get a third challenge. Like that rule. This hip drop tackle rule. Yet another rule change to where let's favor offenses. I haven't seen any protections put in place for defensive players. And then these kickoff rule changes too, where it's going to look like the XFL.
I like that rule.
There are going to be more returns though, because you can't fair catch anymore.
Yeah, I like that kickoff
The
rule.
Cordero Patterson signing to me makes more sense because there were only 21% of the kickoffs that were actually returned this last season. That number is going to go up significantly this year with the kickoff rule changes, Ike.
I mean, who just got to the Hall of Fame? Devin Hester.
Mm-hmm.
You take kickoff return away. What's the most exciting play? That start the game. Punt return, and kickoff return. You get a guy who's special back there who can just change the game ASAP, where the offense or the defense ain't got to be on the field. That's a right now touchdown, or put you in position to have a short field. It says a lot. We just saw a guy, D. Hess, going to the Hall of Fame because of that. Every time Atlanta or Chicago needed a big play, you didn't need a quarterback to throw the ball. You just mess around and kick the ball off to D. Hess if you want to. He's gonna put 6 on the board. So I like that change. It's giving guys like Cordell Patterson more opportunities. It's putting life back in football, I think. So not only with the safety rule, with the guys being that close to each other, that's cool. But at the same time, you're giving guys who made money and a way of living off of kickoff and punt returns, you giving them life again. So I like that rule as well. The hip drop rule, I get it. I mean, it's been a lot of high ankle sprains. It's been a lot of legs broken off of that hip tackle rule. Now, on the contrary, I remember they changed the target for us because we was putting a lot of people to sleep. A lot of people was going to sleep when they were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. We said, you know what? Since y'all got a target rule and y'all want to find us, we just gonna start breaking ACLs. That's all we're gonna start doing. So we're going for your knees and your knees only. Y'all wanted these rules changed. So this is what we doing. Since y'all giving us a new target, guess what our target gonna be? That knee. And we coming for knees. And Mark, I promise you, when we was coming for them knees, when we was playing a few guys on some other teams, and when they saw what we was putting on tape, they say, you know what? I'd rather you just put me to sleep. Because I need that knee. But the hip drop, I really do get that hip drop because it's been them high ankle sprains and them compound fractures. Your legs be getting broken. So that's like putting all this, that's like you squatting on one leg. Of course that thing gonna break. Just try to squat 315 pounds on one leg. That thing gonna crack like it ain't nothing. So that, I get that part.
Ike, just some names in terms of people putting to sleep. Just look up Ike Taylor, Pat White. Look up the Keith Rivers hit with Hines Ward. Look up literally anything Ryan Clark ever
Ryan
did.
Clark, James Harrison,
yeah.
James Ferrier, Larry. Just look up them boys. 2008. Just look up 2008. Steelers defense. Just hits. People, them boys going to sleep, man. Them boys, when you Mark, I'm talking about grown men snoring on the field because they sleep. We're putting people to sleep, man.
And here's how you knew it was a problem. Do you remember ESPN used to have the jacked up segment and then that went no longer? Like they took that segment away, Ike.
With Tom Jackson on there, Chris Berman, you are jacked. Man, we used to be top 3 every week. Somebody on the Pittsburgh Steelers was putting somebody on jacked up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised to hear your take about the hip drop rule. I know Le'Veon Bell got hurt on a similar tackle along the sidelines during his career, but
I get it.
To me, it's just like, can we do like an offensive player dipping his head? There's no repercussions for that. But if a defender does that, it's just like, oh, how could a defensive player do that? It's just like, I just like to see some consistency. And the one thing I'm going to say too, Ike, this is my opinion. Right. With the kickoff rule changes, I get it from the safety standpoint somewhat. Yet at the same time, we're going to have a Christmas Day game played on a Wednesday. Like, spare me the player safety argument. Like, you've said this so many times, Ike. We've done our show for 5 years now. Football is organized violence. You have to accept what potentially can happen. I get that you have to keep players safe. I'm just a little bit surprised to hear you say that about the hip drop rule. And I just would like to
Right.
see, if you're going to put the player protections in there, what are you doing for defensive players? Like that to me is just that inconsistency. It bothers me, Ike. It just does.
No, I see what you're saying. I think the hip drop rule is good, though. I really do.
But are you supposed to just like let the guy go by if you're in that position as a defender? Like, what's going to be interesting to me is A, how it's enforced, but B, if you're in that position as a defender, like, how are you supposed to bring the guy to the ground?
Well, first of all, I think guys just need to get back to fundamentals when it comes down to tackling, Mark. I think guys break down way too early in space. So, we was taught, which really ain't being taught no more, like you shoot your shot. And if I shoot my shot, I know I got 5 or 6 more other guys trying to shoot their shot. Something gonna hurt on this dude. So the more you break down, the more you're getting set up by the offensive player. So of course we wasn't having them. Think about what we're talking about. When I played, won't nobody worry about no hip drop because we was going through people. We wasn't, but the way they're being taught now to kind of break down, or not being taught to break down in space, in open space, they put themselves in that kind of position. When you just shoot your shot, when he breaks down, you accelerate to him. And now he has no time to think. As soon as the offensive guy stutter, that's exactly when you accelerate to him. Because you don't stutter when he stutter. Once he breaks down and you break down, he got an option whether I want to go left or right or run your ass over. But once he break, as soon as he hesitate, that means I accelerate. So by the time he get that right or that left foot back to the ground, I already done tackled him. It's too late. They're not teaching that. So as soon as somebody break down, that's when you're supposed to accelerate into them. That's how it was taught. We didn't have them hip drop problems because we was FaceTiming. We was saying what your face mask was like. We was saying who face mask was stronger. We was trying to run through you. That was how we was taught. So honestly, for me, it's the teaching part. Like I was talking to my son about this yesterday. We were talking about, it's a lot of coaches, but it's not too many coaches that can teach. So, and that's what I think it is, Mark. Like they're not being taught properly. Like when a guy breaks down in space, you accelerate to him, and he has no other option when you do that. So when you break down, when he breaks down, you giving him all the options, and one of them options is gonna be wrapping around his hip because he's gonna be a step or two in front of you. Then you gotta drop your weight onto one of his legs. So. But we never even thought. I've never known about this until I retired. Mark, you never saw the hip drop, really, until these past couple of years. Now it might have happened once, maybe twice, but man, this is because guys are breaking down too far away from the offensive guy as a defender. So when they break down, you accelerate. It takes the air out the balloon.
Like, tremendous insight there. I learned something new. I learned something new right there. And that makes a lot of sense. And you go from being the hunted as an offensive player to the hunter as a defensive player and rallying 11 to the football. Ike, I think that's a great place to wrap. I want to thank our presenting sponsors, BetOnline.ag. If you're listening to Bleav in Steelers, Apple, Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. And on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Ike, before I let you go, down to the Final Four, do you have a favorite to win the championship game? I mean, UConn's the favorite, but
yeah, you
always have some insight and some wisdom here.
My mom and you though. At that old football stadium, that Carter Finley Stadium. Yeah. I'm gonna go NC State, bro. I'm gonna go over to 919. I'm gonna go over to 919, dog.
Let's go. I absolutely love it. And Ike, thank you for the shout out. Given that I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
All day.
Anything you need to plug, my friend? And we've got a lot on Bleav in Steelers here in the next month leading up to the draft. Anything else you want to tell our listeners and viewers?
Hey, anybody in North Carolina, if y'all tuning in and y'all listening, man, in that 919 area code, Make sure y'all hit up my dog, Mark Bergin. Not only he talk about football, but he talk about basketball as well. And we know when it comes down to March Madness, it's one state that know everything about basketball. It's that North Carolina State. Between Duke, North Carolina State, that's exactly what it is in that state. It's basketball. That's basketball country for sure. Make sure y'all holler at my boy, Mark Bergin, man, because he's just all over the place. He's been super busy with this March Madness.
Yeah.
So if you in a 919 and you just want to chop it up and talk, not only football, but basketball as well, holler at my dog, Mark. Want to thank the Bleav in Steelers podcast for rocking with us. Want to thank Cut.com for rocking with us, BetOnline.ag. Make sure y'all tune in 365, 24/7. They've been with us since day one. If y'all just want to put a wager or something on any kind of sport, especially for this March Madness. Want to thank the viewers for tuning in and always listening to Mark and I on this Bleav in Steelers podcast. Make sure y'all go to Spotify, Apple. Make sure y'all just give us a good review. Whatever run we in. We on Instagram. We on Twitter. We pretty much everywhere. So I just want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. Want to thank Mark again, and I'll let Mark wrap it up.
Ike, you're the absolute best. It is like religion here, the basketball of North Carolina. And I want to thank the listeners and the viewers of Bleav in Steelers. March was a record month for us, more than 100,000 views. So thank you to the people that take the time to watch and make us part of their day. For the one and only swagging you, Ike Taylor, I'm Mark Bergin. Thanks for watching Bleav in Steelers. We'll see you next time. Take care. So long, everybody.
Peace.